I could swear that I just cleaned these benches up. Look at this assortment of random slick and chisel handles. Come up with a project for them. I mean, somebody went to a lot of trouble to make these. Another batch of tenon cutters going together. Those are good. Have to do a demo video on those. It's a heck of a tool. Think of a giant pencil sharpener. Man, I can't get enough of that banner. Best bar none, they say. I agree. Oh, yep. For those of you that enjoyed the Thought with Scott video, there is the famous picket stand. It's funny how things change color in the sun. There's where I stopped, and there's the new stack. Little update if anybody wants to guess how many pickets are in there. I got a gnarly old spruce log up here. Thought we'd do a little milling. Nothing more, nothing less. Simple milling. This one's a real character. I want to get my last 8x8 out of this. We're working up a project here, I think, ultimately will become a greenhouse. How big will the greenhouse be? As big as the timbers will allow. I would like to get one more out of this. Challenge being here, it's got a bit of a flare on the butt. And then, I don't know if you can see under there, but those aren't touching those bunks. It's got a little bit of a hump to it. And I got a DIY toe board under the end. They actually make through Woodland Mill. It is an adjustable toe board. So at the end of your last bunk, or your preference, wherever you want to put it, it's an adjustable log bunk for cutting tapered timber. I just did a YouTube short on it. So look back in the channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. But chunk of wood does the same with a heck of a lot more manual labor. So I'm trying to split the taper, trying to deal with the hump. Then it kind of just got to where it got because I got tired of pushing and ramming it. And you can see that that's a bit of an oval. So she's gonna do what she's gonna do. I've become addicted to 1x material. I think I might be done with plywood sheeting. Look at those chainsaw bars. Can't get enough of that. I've shown you this before. Oh, that's, yeah, it's not a beach day. I do have to fix just general household things sometimes. They don't make umbrellas like they used to. Who needs plywood sheeting when you got this? Am I right? Good Lord, that's good. Oh, I just like to take a cruise through here. Smells good, looks good. The chainsaw, again, we haven't named it. We haven't named it. It's it has no name this corner yet. But we're to the floor. I got that last piece cut. Just needs a couple nails, but I mean, why would you need plywood ever again? I mean, we all know why, but you know, it's the way she goes. Oh man, look at, man, this world is full of distractions. That is a genuine hickory offset broad axe handle. Because we go to great lengths here to find genuine quality replacement parts and pieces for tools that the rest of the world may have forgotten. Anyways, let's get to cutting. I got sidetracked by 1x material. We're cutting the strips. We're gonna get the 1x. We're gonna get the pickets if they come up. We're gonna get the 8x8s. We're gonna get her all. We might even get a sunburn. 30 degrees today, folks. Inappropriate footwear, so we don't die of heat stroke. Our first cut going here, but something's bunging up the works. Yep. You know, I guess this is sometimes why you would want genuine, proper tooling. You see the problem here? Our toe board has become a problem. Back in action. So there's my first cut where it ended. Consensus is lay out your cuts before you start, so you're not guessing as you go, making mistakes. And I do map it out a bit. I don't go to the extent to draw on the end of the log, nor do I have a fully hydraulic mill. So sometimes efficiency gets shortcutted by a reality, because I mean, if I had to manhandle this log several times to maximize the product, which I do try and do, right, to wear a guy out. It's not too bad with the tractor, but sometimes I'll cut a less than ideal piece of lumber, if that makes sense, to save myself having to flip this log by hand one more time. So the tool you saw me smashing my my temporary toe board in there with is a cant hook. This one I've had, oh, I don't know, probably had this thing for 10 years. Now we're really getting off track. See, there's more of them hanging on the wall. So basically everything from 5 foot down to 3 foot in half sizes, PVs and cant hooks. So if you don't know the difference, PV has the point, and the cant hook is more in the fashion of what I showed you outside there. So the difference between the PV and the cant hook, I'm gonna keep it simple because I sell an equal amount of both, and I have a cant hook just because it's happened to be what I bought 10 years ago, and I just keep going with it. The main difference, this has a toe ring on it with the teeth for grabbing into more of a flat surface, hence the name cant hook. And then the PV has the point, which is better for sticking in and stabbing into the log. I've heard many cases for both product. I got professional guys that use them for work that have preference one or the other. Some guys own both. It's just one of those tools. It's just one of those tools. I'm not going to tell you which one is best. You look at it, you try it, and then you go, this is for me. You might have noticed when I got to the end of the cut there, it didn't break through, and then I pulled the carriage back. I will caution you, when the mill is running, you want to be dang sure what you're doing. If you pull that carriage back, even with the blade not moving, it will derail. It will derail, and then it leads to havoc. It can wreck things. Trust me how. Ask me how I know. For little short ways is fine, but if you got to pull it back a long ways, you get stuck in a cut or something happens, you're best to grab some wedges and wedge that slab up to take the pressure off of the blade and then move back. But I forgot to trim this. We're too long. I gotta soup mix it off right about here. That works really good using the tractor essentially as a sawhorse right here. I mean, it's parked here to catch the waste and the scrap material to throw in the slab pile, but being able to flip the boards, I just pivot them like a teeter-totter, so I don't really have to lift them most of the time to simply get them over here out of the way. Then when I'm done with this log, then I can just simply rearrange. I'm always pointing the camera at this guy. I can just rearrange, get rid of the 8x8 or whatever I've cut up there, then bring these back, reload them. I think an in-feed deck would be good, but then we come too permanent. This isn't even supposed to be up here this close to the shop. It's supposed to be, we got property, what am I doing up here? But I've gotten used to it. Therapeutic almost. I'll do stuff in the shop and on the phone, office stuff to a point, and then I go, you know what? I'm going to come out here and I'm going to mill for 20 minutes. And, well, I like to think that it's extending my life. Definitely improving the quality of it anyways. You know, you do something 99 times, and on the 100th time when you go to film it doesn't work. Usually that just rolls over flat. Bob's your uncle. Well, after going at it like I'd never done that before, forgot the dang board. Nothing a little leverage won't fix. Body weight, engage. A 1, 2, 3, boop, boop. Trick of the trade? I don't think so. General incompetence. Plenty of meat left here, headed towards that 8x8. I think we're gonna get some really good material out of this. See if luck's on our side here. All right, the big reveal. How'd we do? Oh, look at the coloring in that, eh? This is where it kind of comes together. And you can see if your estimation of taking that taper out with your toe board worked, and if your planning ahead kind of got you in the general direction, other than the general direction of firewood. You will see, I say time and time again, 16-foot material is for the birds. Unless you got a real specific application, I've never really ever been glad to be manhandling 16 foots anything, unless you need them, rafters, joists, etc. Or maybe the occasional handrail in one piece. Oh, look at that, logbuildingtools.ca. All right, well, let's do that cut and then we'll flip it and repeat the process. You know, I try and think of things that people might be curious about as I make these videos. You know, somebody that's, you know, maybe watching this from an apartment building in a city or a suburb somewhere that doesn't have the opportunity to do this, but might, you know, like to know what it's like. Is it hard to push the carriage on the mill? Well, I was trying to think how I'd explain that. It's kind of like if you had, if you had a decent quality bicycle, the tires were pumped up appropriately, and you were just pedaling that on flat ground, not uphill, not downhill. It's about as difficult as that. Pretty simple for the average person, but not without a little bit of exercise and an overall pleasant experience. I think that's how I describe it. What's it like running a manual band mill? Well, it's kind of like riding a bicycle on flat ground. We can also never stress enough that I'm just doing this for fun too, so take it for what it's worth. Oh, what do they do in the big reveal? They kick the slab off, and then they dump the bucket of water. I hate to break it to you, that spruce tree is gonna look about the same as it does right now, bucket of water or not. All right, then when I go to do the other side, I take the time to flip these around. Log stops, log dogs, blade destroyers, whatever you call them. They got a little button on the back of these ones in particular. The reason for that is that little button, when you flip them around this way, that button sticks out exactly the distance of this here tubing. So when you're butted up against this material with a square edge, then this flat edge will sit up against that button like that, and hold the whole thing square to the what? Oh my god. The bunks. They're called bunks, man. Jeez, am I having a heat stroke? Hopefully you watched long enough to tell me I was doing it wrong in the comments. Like that, when things are squared up. Like that, when you still need to flip and roll the log up, as we do now in this case, because that rounded edge of the log isn't going to bite on this. It's going to slip off and allow you to work the log over. If they're like this and you roll this up, it catches this and either pushes it down, or if you're real lucky, jumps over top and you fish it out of the bushes. I do find when you're going to make this your third cut here, you got the two sides flattened out, and now of course you want this to be square to the bunk. I got a framing square here. You're best to go real slow. It's easy to just bump it like this, doot, 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 to get it to square. But to pull it back to square, like to get the bottom of that to kick back out the other direction, because you got nothing to rest it against, is way harder. You're almost better just to flip it back down and start over than to muck with it, because the only place you have to stand here in the danger zone, and if that gets way on you, well, it's probably wearing safety Crocs, I guess. If you clamp it low down here, when I pop this shut, it should pull that back a hair and save us from ourselves. And take a lot to hold it. It ain't like it's going anywhere. And then we got something to torque on a bit. So maybe get this. There we go. There. See? Not too bad. Pretty good. Even better. And what I always say, if it's square at both ends, well, there's nothing we can do about the middle anyways. A situation that will eventually lead to a modification. See all that plugging up? And ultimately what it does is it adds wear and tear to everything. Abrasive sawdust on the belt. It makes a mess all over the mill. Why is it happening? I'm going to show you here in about 2 shakes. Why on the discharge chute would I need grading? What am I gonna do? Run around there and stick my fingers in it while I'm pushing the mill? Those have been like that since I've owned this bloody thing. I've said it a million times. I gotta cut them off. I'm still not gonna do it right now, but that should just be a wide open hole. It would never plug. There we go, square on 3 sides. That's all that's left for Wayne at the end of that 16.5-foot cut. Just that little snicker, and you know what? I'm gonna let that slide because I'm probably gonna get cut off back there anyways. Plenty of room for the 8x8. I ended up cutting 2 1x8s off the top. That one peters out right about there, but the other one's pretty well full length. Like I said, I'm going for the 1x because I have found in projects I have planned, it's good for, you could do a floor with it, you can do walls with it, you could do a roof deck with it. I kind of had disdain for 1x material, and now, like I said, I feel like I'm cutting my own plywood basically. So flop this over, only one side left. You're 3/4 of the way to an 8x8 on the Spruce Stomper YouTube channel. Watch your fingers and your toes. You'll want to rock and roll. We're set up for what is my favorite cut of all. You have all 3 sides squared up, and the 4th cut, my friends, in my opinion, it's the gravy cut. Everything's flat. You're gonna skin this line right here, just taking the bark off because it's already leveled out. It's perfect. And we're gonna get our 2x8 that's left on top, and we'll be left with our final product. And then we just have to clean up these slabs of what's left, and we can review what the final yield was of this beautiful spruce tree. It's fired up. But Spruce Stomper, it's late. What about the neighbors and the noise? Well, 1, they're adults, and 2, far enough away to not care. Let's get this going. Oh yeah. Now, we're set right at the 10-inch mark. There's the 10. There's our finish line is the 8. So we got 2 inches there. And I'm telling you what, friends, it's gonna be beautiful. See there? That's the line where our wane ends. It's gonna be perfect. Absolutely, positively, perfecto. Not every shot works out how you think it's gonna work out. Last but not least, our 2x8. What are we gonna use a 2x8 for? You don't need to worry about that. We just get what we can get. You worry about what you're gonna build out of it later. Look at that. I will assure you, there are very few things that possess this kind of satisfaction level. You just took something from the forest You made your own building material out of it? Come on. Come on. Not only that, look at that thing. There's arrows that wish that was that straight. And the final prize, 8x8, which, how'd we do? 8, now we're a hair under. And a hair under. What's this, a calibration problem? Couldn't be something to do with the faded out vinyl sticker on the sawmill. Or the disregard for the leveling procedure, bashing it with the tractor. That's dead on 8. That too is dead on 8. You know, all being a smart ass aside, I only ever have problems right at the start. The lead in, because if we go here, look at deadly and deadly. Tip this down. Where does our problem begin? That's deadly. That's like, I mean, we're talking dead nuts. It's right out here. We lost 1/8 of an inch. And it's perfect right there. Right there and right there. Bang on. All right, this is where we interrupt the program. The first 6 inches is where we've lost our 1/8 of an inch, and here's the theory. Laziness is the theory. You see where we have our blade guide set? That's what we call way out in no man's land. You got all that free span and blade there. I think what's happening is because I'm neglectful to adjust my bandsaw blade guide, you want to keep that closer in to the wood, to the workpiece, so the blade is supported. Because you picture this band, and she's doing one of those. I think that's what's happening. I'm forcing it at the start. We're heading into the log too quick, and it wants to go like this, and it self-corrects. That's why we're only out of dimension for the first maybe 6 inches, 6, 8 inches, bang, then she's back to life, dead nuts, 8x8 the whole way. Let's all take a minute, quiet yourselves. We lost somebody during this episode of the Spruce Stomper YouTube channel. It seemed happy where it was, but all good things come to an end. The beloved marker light just didn't fit in this fast-paced world. Stuck out like a sore thumb, didn't blend in. Everyone said it would get wiped off, and it did. There's nothing worse than getting all set up to do these offcuts and then realize that you got them too far forward or too far back because you didn't bring the carriage back to where it needs to be, because they were off the same log that we had in there that was smoking tight. So bring it back, then I know the saw is going to clear on both ends. All right, we got those log stops set just a whisker below where the top of that middle one is gonna run, because of course we got this one. The middle one is a lot smaller, and then the bigger outer one, but we ain't setting up 2 times, so we're gonna get what we can get out of them. And what's that gonna be? Well, at the very least, more construction stakes. Let's find out. All right, friends, I gotta apologize for the time lapse and the racket. But normally we wouldn't be out here doing this in the dark, but I'll tell you what, when a guy sets into a project and he feels like he's gonna get that project done in a day, in between all the other hubbub of the day, well, he gets it done. I'm getting the bad signal from the house to wrap this up. It's later than I thought. Feels good to be done. Thank you for joining me in cutting a simple 8x8. Let's recap the yield real quick. That was a 16'6" spruce log, solid and sound. It was about 14 inches at the skinny end, 16 inches out the back end, give or take. What'd we get? Well, we got into it. Oh, we got to do this in between light. Come on, baby. We need that floodlight to go. There we go. All right, hustle. Lighting, hey, it's always the lighting. We got ourselves our 8x8, of course, the crown jewel, 16-footer. We got a 16-foot 2x8 off of that as well. Beauty, you can tell because they're different colors. Milled a few days ago. Brand spanking new. I'd never tell you guys a fib. Then we got 16-foot 1x8 here. And what do we got here? That's about, we're gonna cap that at 12 feet, 12-foot 1x6. Quite a bit of wane down this end. So not as good as it could have been. There's a 1x8 and we'll cap that at, say, a 10-footer. Gets pretty scrawny out that end. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lengths for making construction stakes. There's a good probably 25, 30 construction stakes that we didn't waste. They could be stickers too. I'm kind of 1 inch thick. That's a little husky for a sticker in my opinion. Could be 3/4 inch, but still usable material. Then we have two 16-foot 2x6s and a 16-foot 1x6. And to be honest, it's about all you're looking at for waste. This bit of trims, a couple pieces I threw in the slab pile that you've seen in the rest of the video. I don't know, you let me know. How are we doing? Are we wasting anything? Are we making mistakes? We're having fun. And we've had enough. So, lights out. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you on the next adventure.